How you doing? This is a video on how to install door panels, Promaster conversion van. In van life or camper life, whichever, storage is a commodity and you want to maximize as much as you possibly can. So on mine, what I do is I build little nooks and crannies wherever I can, and one place that a lot of people overlook is the door, especially the sliding door and the rear doors. So as you can see how I outlined the door panels here, this particular van only had half of the panels, so it's a big advantage if it has door panels, because you can use the door panels as a pattern. But if you don't have them, I'll show you a trick here in a second how you can outline them and get them pretty dialed in. You got to be careful, obviously, if you put shelving or any type of hooks or anything on the sliding door, because I'll show you in a minute, when you open the sliding door, you only have about 3.5 inches of clearance. But as you can see here, you know, instead of using the kitchen counter, which usually collects a lot of clipboards, papers, and stuff like that, it's always a nice place to put them up there so you have notes to remind you what you need when you go out, or if you stop at Walmart or grocery store, you can always put a list there, so it's not sitting on the floor where you're stepping on it all the time or taking up counter space. So as you can see on my door panel here, I use the acorn nuts, kind of gives it a nice finishing touch. And I'll open the door and show you the clearance. You don't have a lot, so you got to be really careful. So when it comes, I got about 3/8 clearance, and then it narrows, and then at the end it opens up a little bit. So as you can see, you still have a little bit of clearance in there for the shelving and things like that. So you just got to be careful on that, especially the vans flex a little bit, so make sure you got clearance when you're parked on a curve or something like that, that you can open the door and the door slides pretty nicely. How I did this, a lot of people use the, I'll show you the back doors and show you basically how to install it. This is unfinished, and I'll come over here in a minute and I'll show you how I did it. This is the rear finished door, as you can see right here, from top to bottom, and I'll show you a little trick here how to cut those panels out. On this one, it's kind of reinforced, as you can see. What I did is I regressed this in. Even though you don't necessarily have to do that, you can pull it flush with these bars. However, I did that on this door because I'm going to install a hot water heater, which is going to go right here in the center. And then as you close the door, if you want to have, you know, if you want to take a shower outside, there'll be a shower head up there, and you close the door and you can see there's plenty of room there for the hot water heater. Another thing, a lot of people, I put a shelf at the bottom, and there's going to be another one just like this where these bolts are here. Now, as you can see, there's the acorn nuts. A lot of people use the rivet bolts or the expanding rubber type bolts, but I prefer to use just regular 1/4 inch bolts and with a lock washer in back. And what you do before you put the panels in, you have to drill obviously holes, like for these two trusses that go up, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. But maximizing the space is obviously what you want to do. Now on this door, I'm going to show you how. So I cut the pattern out here. For this particular one, I had the pattern for this particular cutout, but I didn't have it for this one, and I didn't have it for this one down here. So what you do is you just take a piece of paper, and I really don't have one with me right now, but I thought I had one, but anyway, lay a piece of paper right here on the cutout, covering the cutout here. Just lay the piece of paper down, then take your pencil and push it in on the paper, holding the paper steady, and kind of draw this the outline on your paper like that. And then you don't have to have a long piece of paper, because then you just measure how long this is, and then take a piece of paper and lay it here. Take your pencil and just kind of squish the paper in. It crinkles a little bit, but and just draw it like that, and that'll give you an outline. You can do that for the top and the bottom. Like I say, you just put your paper down here over the hole, and then take your pencil and just kind of squeeze it up into the recession there, and just kind of draw your outline like that. And then take some scissors, cut it out, lay it down on the plywood, and then just draw your whatever your form is, and then you can get pretty close, and then when you sand the edges, you can pretty much get it pretty dialed in. So and now, as far as how to install the bolts, before you install the panels, you got to install the bolts. So on this, you obviously, there's cables and stuff for the door in here, so you want to make sure you clear those, and there's good clearance here. So you put your rod up, or however you're going to support it, and then drill your hole, and then you can reach back here and put your 1/4 inch or whatever nut you're going to use through there. I put a lock washer on the back side of this, pull it through. You got plenty of access here, and even down here on these panels where you think you wouldn't have, there are some things in your way. You just gotta kind of navigate up under it, get your hand under there, feed the bolt through. And what I do to hold the bolt, if you look here, you can see, let me see if I can show you, there's actually a bolt here where it holds it tight. And of course it brings it out a little bit, but if you got a recess, it really doesn't matter. So you pull your bolt through, put a bolt with a lock nut on the other side, cinch it tight, and it'll give you a rigid bolt, just like this, just like I did right here. You drill your hole, then stick your hand up under this crevice here, and then put a bolt here. Make sure you put a lock washer on the other side so it won't vibrate loose. Like, see, this is loose right here, but I haven't cinched it down yet because I haven't put the rod that's going to go all the way up. And here, as you see, I'm about to drill a hole for the top part, just like I did on that one. And you can just reach your hand when I drill the hole here, then I can reach my hand back here, put the bolt through. And I'm pretty square because I put this one up, then I'll measure and make sure I get a nice even, because I'm probably going to wind up putting a shelf in between these two. So when you're laying on the bed, there'll actually be a shelf that sticks out like that. So anyway, that's how I did the door panels. Please subscribe, thumbs up, and stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.